The leader of Namibia has issued a shocking warning that is being closely watched by governments across the continent of Africa. Leaders from nearby states or countries, including the leader of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, are paying attention, ladies and gentlemen. The statement actually comes, amid increasing global uncertainty.
Wherever we go, whether in our offices, our personal capacities, we are seen and judged as leaders. We must maintain a listening ear and a watchful eye, remaining closely attitude to the reality faced by our people on the ground. Our leadership must be guided by apathy and deep understanding of lived experience of the Namibian people. The duty to effectively deliver service and fulfill the promises to improve the living standard and quality of life of our people rests on us. We therefore cannot and must not fail our people.
The leader of Namibia recently spoke at the first cabinet meeting of 2026, ladies and gentlemen, addressing growing global uncertainty. She explained that the world is experiencing rapid changes, alliances are shifting, conflicts are occurring or happening in different regions, and of course, international rules are sometimes applied selectively. She emphasized that what appears normal today, ladies and gentlemen, could actually become unacceptable tomorrow. Decisions affecting countries or states are not always made within established international rules or laws. So despite this, ladies and gentlemen, the leader reaffirmed Namibia's commitment to participating in global affairs with integrity and principle. During the meeting, ladies and gentlemen, she stressed or noted the importance of upholding or supporting national sovereignty. She also mentioned equality among states, peaceful conflict resolution, and of course the role of diplomacy and international law. These values, she said, must guide Namibia's approach to international relations. The leader urged or encouraged her cabinet members to remember the people they actually serve.
And quality of life of our people rests on us. We therefore cannot and must not fail our people.
She said that empathy and accountability are essential in making decisions. She says, and I quote, "We therefore cannot and must not fail our people," quotation close. She reminded the ministers, experts know that Namibia's stance is consistent with similar positions taken by other African leaders who emphasize sovereignty and regional stability. For instance, the leader of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, has been known to advocate for principle, leadership, and cooperation with it. Before we actually continue with you, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel or community, and of course turn on notifications to stay updated with neutral analysis from Africa. Returning to the story, ladies and gentlemen, the leader of Namibia's warning comes at a time when global politics are in flux. Governments are re-evaluating alliances, and of course smaller nations or states are seeking ways to protect their sovereignty. Namibia is positioning itself as a country guided by principles and of course careful judgments. The leader of Namibia, ladies and gentlemen, mentioned that decisions made outside agreed international frameworks could actually affect many states, by emphasizing principles. Namibia hopes to maintain stability at home whilst navigating these changes internationally. The warning has drawn attention from other African states or leaders, ladies and gentlemen. The leader of Burkina Faso, for example, Captain Ibrahim Traore, shares a vision of principled governance and of course continental cooperation, ladies and gentlemen. This alignment highlights a growing trend among African governments to prioritize sovereignty, fairness, and of course regional dialogue. Namibia's cabinet was reminded to ensure that national policies reflect these principles, ladies and gentlemen. Ministers were encouraged to practice accountability and empathy in their work. The leadership aims to show that calm, consistent, and of course principled actions are essential in turbulent global conditions. Observers suggest that Namibia's warning or threats may influence discussions within regional organizations and of course diplomatic meetings by highlighting the need for fairness and of course adherence to international rules or laws. The president is sending a clear message, ladies and gentlemen, that the country expects careful conduct or behavior from all nations or states involved in global decisions. Though this statement, ladies and gentlemen, Namibia positions itself as a leader in Africa, advocating stability and of course respect for established rules. Analysts note that such approaches may help avoid unnecessary conflicts and maintain dialogue between nations, particularly when tensions rise elsewhere in the world. The emphasis, ladies and gentlemen, on principle and fairness serve to reassure citizens that the government is acting responsibly whilst remaining alert to global developments. This careful communication, ladies and gentlemen, style reflects a measured approach to potential challenges ahead. To provide context, ladies and gentlemen, Namibia has historically maintained a policy of careful engagement with international affairs. The leader's recent statement or remarks built on today's history by emphasizing sovereignty, diplomacy, and of course fairness. Globally, nations or states face pressure from changing alliances, economic challenges, and of course conflicts in various regions. Namibia's approach shows a preference for dialogue, international law, and of course measured response rather than rash action. Reactions from the neighboring states or countries indicate or show support for a principled approach. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, specifically known for advocating similar values, has expressed views that resonate with Namibia's position. Ladies and gentlemen, this creates a subtle alignment amongst African governments focused on careful, responsible leadership. Observers note that Namibia's emphasis on principles may actually influence future collaborations and negotiations. By staying consistent with international law or rules and of course diplomacy, Namibia hopes to strengthen its relationships whilst maintaining autonomy. The warning also provides insight into the government priorities. It is clear that the focus is not on confrontation but on ensuring that Namibia and other states can actually act independently whilst respecting global rules or laws. This stance or position contributes to regional stability and of course encourages dialogue rather than conflict. Educationally, ladies and gentlemen, this situation illustrates how nations or states balance international governance, regional cooperation, and of course participation in the global system. Namibia's careful communication, ladies and gentlemen, shows how leaders can actually assert values without escalating into tensions unnecessarily. The connection or linking to leaders in Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré highlights a continental awareness. Shared principles create opportunities for partners built on trust, mutual respect, and of course adherence to agreed norms. Such alignment are seen as positive steps toward a stronger African cooperation in international affairs. Now, looking ahead, Namibia's emphasis or statement on principles and of course accountability is likely to guide its policies through 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader has clearly stated that sovereignty or independence, diplomacy, and of course fairness remain top priorities. This approach may also influence other nations or states in the region. Leaders who share similar visions, such as the leader of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, may find common ground with Namibia on regional and of course continental issues. These shared principles encouraged or urged dialogue and of course reduce the risk of conflicts arising from misunderstanding or abrupt policy changes or shift. By promoting careful decision making, ladies and gentlemen, and of course adherence to international frameworks, Namibia seeks to protect its citizens whilst contributing responsibly.